Business and capitalism is evolving. People are becoming increasingly conscious and hyper-aware of how their purchases affect others and Earth's resources. Brands with a long-term, forward-looking view that care for planet and people will emerge as winners. And to me, this is almost like a miracle. If companies combine the purpose and the profit and care for the planet together, then we are able to create something amazing. And it's no surprise that I have Lucia here with me on the show, because to me, she is the hero who has not been, like, if this is a mega trend for the future, I believe Lucia kind of probably set up these trends because she set it up 16 years ago without, of course, calling it the trend. So I would like to invite you here, Lucy, and thank you so much for being here today, for being with us today.
Thank you very much. Nice to see you, Maria. Nice to see the team. That part of you I know already online only. Unfortunately, you don't invite me to the team building meetings, but I'm hoping for that to come. But very happy to be here, and very happy and curious about what are your questions and future plans with this project.
Perfect. Thank you. And for sure, like after this COVID era will change and we will be able to meet one's place, I'm making a big note to invite you. It will be super. And I have a question for you, Lucy, before we start. Like, I know what I'm expecting as a miracle from this show, but I would like to ask you, what is yours? What is your expectation?
Yeah. From this one or generally?
You can take it as, I mean, whatever you want to go.
What would be my expected miracle maybe from this show with you is that after the show, everybody who is present here, not only online, but also mentally, will be able to look at maybe their activities and think about like how what we will be talking about, they can implement within their own life. Slovakia was back in 2005 the worst in the state of children's teeth, so we wanted to improve this. We basically made a business which be supporting the other activities which were considering education of dentists and also education of children. In my mind, I was originally counting with a very small company, like 3 people. And then suddenly when we started to grow and we were like 7, 15, 20, so I was like, do I really want this? We set up a company in 2005, so now it's 16 years. And I would say within 7 years, we grew from 0 share to 50% share in the market. We are a country of 5.5 million inhabitants. We are selling 3.8 million. We were basically trying to cover the costs. And somehow it grew.
Like all of us who are in business, we all know that it's just not happening like this. And somehow it grew. So I just want to recognize that it probably took a lot of effort and a lot of years and a lot of everything. Invest in order to grow, and how much from this is it investment in social impact?
I would say that we have a very specific situation that we have the company which, like we are 3 co-owners. The majority co-owner is the Swiss headquarters or Swiss mother. And then we are 2 Slovak co-owners. And I would say that we are not so much money driven because we believe that, and this is one of the concepts that I'm working with, is that we should know when we have enough. And this is maybe also some food thought or food brain for you or brain food for you that like how do you recognize or how do we recognize that we have actually enough? Like how do we know how much more money do we need to be happy? How much more work we need to do to, reach whatever? And really then to start thinking about what makes us really happy and whether we are reaching it in our activities. So we are investing, basically, we are not thinking about the money in a way of like, it has to bring so much profit. It's more like we are doing the things that we like to do, and it brings the profit, so.
I mean, this is exactly the moment where I would like to pause, because this is what I'm calling a miracle. Like, it's a paradox in my world that if you're not making money, but you do the things which you're passionate about, which you love doing, which you contribute, then the money effect kind of comes back. It's like almost like, what's the English word? Like, what goes around comes around. And it seems like, Lucia, you were talking about your personal philosophy about having enough, making enough, working enough, just in order to be happy. But you were able to do it like almost like mirroring it in the whole company. Am I getting it right?
Yeah.
That was like, it's coming from you as a philosophical standpoint.
Yeah, but this is also very important to like to think about it in a way where this doesn't apply only to the company level, but mainly on the personal level. Like really, if you start to think about it from the personal point of view, is like if I look at me, I'm thinking, okay, like if we invest $1 million a year into something, will it bring profit of 2 million? And what will I do if I have profit of 2 million? Like how happier will my life be actually? Like what good will be done? Like will I have the second home, or like the second car, or like what will be actually the outcome of it? And like this is like one of the things or the concepts I'm working within myself, and then also to the company level, is like not doing things just to bring the profit, because then really in the end, like I will be totally happy if the profit will be enough to cover the cost, so that everybody will be well paid, so that we will have the possibility of people having better oral hygiene or keep their teeth till they're dying. And that would be completely enough, like when it comes to the mission of the company. And so basically we can invest whatever is necessary, and it's more like how do we make the money available for the investment, so we don't have to pay out all the 100% of the profit. We can keep the money in the company. We can have the fair share of the employees. All these kind of things are present in the business, concept, and that makes it sustainable. So I cannot give you correct answer to this. I would say, like, for example, when we were starting the project of recycling toothbrushes, like collecting toothbrushes back and then smashing them into pieces and making producing the trash bins for the schools made of the toothbrushes. It was the project which cost us like, 400,000 euros, which is great amount of money when it comes to, our company, because we have like around 1 million profit per year. So, like it was a big chunk for something like that. But then when I look at it from long-term perspective, like this was investment in 1 year, and we are basically profiting from it every year since. So in long term, it's like we are selling, we are having mental actual presence in all the places, because the trash bins look like small, the down part of our trash, it has the shape of the angle, and we have like super philosophy to work with, like when marketing, and also we are doing something because we already collected, I don't know, 3 tons of toothbrushes. So it's like huge amount of money or a huge amount of plastic which didn't become a trash.
And I think this really comes to the quote which I was saying before. It's like long brands with a long-term, forward-looking view that care for the planet and people will emerge as winners. So thank you so much for sharing this amazing example. And let's just pick maybe one more business question, then a fun question. How do you measure the impact you make in the communities you touch and society? Do you even measure this impact?
No. But this is a very good question, because I'm now working with a lot of NGOs, and we are actually talking about this, that, this is exactly like usually what is being measured is more like money wise, or let's say, like if you have an NGO which is, for example, working with Roma children, so they're recalculating like when you start to work with this community group until 3 years of the age, like how it will influence the, state budget for next 10 years. So this is measured in money. But when it comes to the real impact, like there is so much of willpower which is not, measurable. Like, for example, imagine that I'm talking to you now, and a lot of you maybe have a lot of things going on your mind already for a long time. And maybe this talk will just make you like think about it more. And in the future, it will bring you, like it will be one of the drops on the way, which will make you then do some action. And is it my impact that I'm measuring? So I'm just like, I have been influenced like
yes,
this.
it is.
Like I have been influenced like this by a lot of small drops. And so I think that there is a lot of things which is not measurable, but maybe when you will be dying once and you will look back on your life and you will remember this talk.
Okay, this is marketing. Okay, now guys, every day when you're gonna brush the teeth, remember this talk. These intimate moments of truth.
Yes. So now we don't measure it, but I think, like this is interesting when it comes to, like I was telling to Maya that Curaprox is actually worldwide unknown brand. For a lot of you, you've first heard about Curaprox by Maya introducing me here. And I would say that it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be Curaprox, basically. But the point is that it's more about like make you think about the concept and the impact. I can measure it by way of like, if I'm picking up the phone and calling an unknown person to, onboard them on some project, they're immediately in. This is the impact that, like, last year when we made this big fundraiser for like when the COVID came, and we made a fundraiser to purchase the protective equipment for health workers, because we had no in Slovakia, probably you had no in other countries also, but we were able to raise 1.4 million euros within 3 months, out of nowhere. And we didn't even have an official NGO, we just had like transparent account. So this is that kind of impact which you have, like if you are consistent in your activities and have integrity and maybe trust of the people, which is super important, that you are not misusing it.
Wow. And this is a beautiful introduction to a second video, which we have prepared for you now, which is about extremism and all the activities some of the activities which Curaprox is doing.
If every business would start to cooperate with the culture and with the NGO sector and even with the public sector to make such a strong synergic circle, and this would become new normal, then we could basically start learning from each other and moving the whole society forward much faster. when we started to work with the NGOs which are dealing in ecology, we were able to implement the ecological project of our company much faster. But we were also able to show them the business principles that we are applying, and they were able to field of their activities. This is already the example of how we are doing it. But I think that if that multiplies, that on each level, I think that could transform us dramatically. During the COVID, we had 40 people of our team working for the Ministry of Health as a call center or arranging the vaccination for elderly homes. So being there for if something happens and not just watching and being like, I don't have to do something about it. Like if you have a chance to do something, do it.
I love your words, Lucy. If you have a chance to do something, do it. And you do it, and your company is doing it. And I know that we touched some of the activities which are purpose-driven. Can you maybe take a couple of minutes and tell us what else you are doing and introduce us to your activities in Slovakia?
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the concepts that we are doing and which I consider super important, like in Slovakia, we have very low level of trust between the organizations. So basically what is happening is, and you can see it especially now during COVID times, that like where other countries are actually going already out of it, we are in the middle of this shit because we are just, like we have even the political scene, part of the, leaders are talking against vaccination, which is not happening in most of the countries. So we are actually, in the situation where you will go out of the third wave and it will be over. We will have the fourth and fifth wave because it's, it's going to continue. So this is the entropy which happens if the trust is not, in the society. So what we need to do is to recreate the trust. And, like when you look at those stakeholders, which I mentioned, which is like culture, NGO sector or public sector, I would say business is the strongest, like when it comes to profit or when it comes to power, and also in many ways when it comes to processes. So what we need to do is to, to be aware of that, privileged situation that we are in the business sector. It doesn't matter whether it's products or services, and not to misuse the power, but use the power. So what we are creating is the space where, as I said, like it will be normal that the new normal should be that every company should be cooperating with these other sectors and try to do something about it. And, like I'm not talking again on the company level only. Like when we were discussing it with Maya, I would like to maybe like how I'm thinking about it is that if you from your team are a graphic designer, you can reach out to students on the University of Graphic Design and make them part of your job, and maybe to agree with the leadership of your company that it will be okay if 10% of the, of your activities will be done by students, or if you, can have like city hall projects which will be connected to you, like you can do this kind of thing. So it's more than not to stay in your bubble only and to reach out, and you can find your own, like I don't have to tell you, you probably know much better. It's just that so this is that kind of things that I'm doing, and I'm trying to connect to other people who are doing it, because I'm on one hand I'm very lazy, on the other hand I'm very active and very lazy. So I like to be the one which is like making the first kick and like like shaking it, and then like once it's working I don't really enjoy it, so I'm leaving. So
True. But Lucy, you are talking very specific about this project which you are so much involved at the moment, but there are others, and I'm so impressed with the diversity, and it kind of connects with the question previously. It's like, how do you choose? Is it like, Is it saving children? Is it saving us? Is it saving people? Is it doing this? And I know, like, if you could just like kind of think about like and just list us all the activities which you were doing, which is including supporting artists, going on demonstration. But I don't want to take your list because I know that you are in the moment now. So this is what you're doing, creating trust and connecting with other, like, you know, connecting with the NGOs and with the culture departments, kind of bringing the synergy. But before there was a journey, and on the journey you touched so many different points and projects, which were, you never called them purpose driven, but they were in a way making an impact one way or the other.
Well, I think that it comes to like what really interests you or what really interests me in this case. And it's like, you know, let's say I think Tima was from Portugal. So, you know, like me and Maya, when we were on the university and many years after, we used to go to Portugal every summer because we really loved Portugal. And Portugal is more multicultural, much more multicultural than Slovakia. Slovakia is quite conservative and closed when it comes to, you know, like inviting foreigners. So when it came to refugee crisis in, I don't know, 3 or 5 years ago, like there was a big neglection in Slovakia, and just to work with these topics, maybe to you know, like one of the first we were one of the first companies who joined, like how was it called? Výzva k ľudskosti mají? Like
challenge to humanity, like call like, out to humanity.
Yeah, like plow to humanity, where like to like businesses started to address this topic, that this is important, that we need to welcome, you know, refugees here, and not to make them, you know, feel bad about that they are on the journey and all these kind of things. Like now we are working on the LGBTI topic because Slovakia, you know, we have the advantage that Slovakia is worst in many things. So
like the worst.
Like the worst. Like in European Union, we are the countries where, let's say, 75% of Slovaks thinks that gays and lesbians shouldn't have the same rights as heterosexual. We are this bad. So we are the worst in many things. So, you know, like we have a great field to address, I would say. It must be fun, like be selfish in that whatever you do, it must be fun for you.
Okay. It's the punchline. So thank you so much, Lucia. I learned so much, and I think the miracle which you brought today to this talk show is really about, for me, what stands out is like, let's be happy no matter what we do, and let's do great things which matter, and let's have fun while doing that. So I also wanted to ask the audience, like, if there is anything, can you write into the chat, like, what are you taking out of this expecting miracle? And then for Lucia, the very last question, what is the first ingredients? What do you think is the first ingredients that should be a part of the purpose-driven journey of a company? Is it a long sentence?
What is the first ingredients of the, like when it comes to purpose-driven company? Okay, I would say,
like when you are setting on the journey, you're going towards that. Like, what is the cornerstone? What's the basic? What's the, like, if you're baking, you know, bread, like you need flour, like without you won't make it. What do you think that the
there are many. Right. But I would say, and I think that you are doing it greatly, and I would just like support it for you to continue. Like, if you want to do it for the company, it should be like people should be included in it. That it shouldn't be like top down. It should be bottom up, or I would say you should be all part of the conversation. What should be your purpose, and it shouldn't be, you know, like if that would be my first step recommendation.
And I'm so glad that we are doing it, because that's why this interaction, that's why you being here means a lot to us and to me. So thank you all so much for coming. Thank you, Lucy, for being here.